about TMS FNC Tableview. Yes, you're reading correctly. TMS will have a table view available for the FNC framework soon. If you're an existing customer, you might have gotten an email like this. In the email, you're invited to test the FNC UI Beta 2.1. And it also says that TMS now has a TMS FNC Tableview. As an avid iPhone user or Apple user, I might say, I couldn't be more excited because a Tableview is something you need all the time for mobile development with iPhone and also all the other mobile platforms. And having that thing available also for the desktop platforms is amazing. So what I'm going to do in this video right now is we're going to have a look at the demo that comes with the component, and then I'm going to do something that most component developers don't want to. They don't really want to have you build a performance test when it comes to grids and all these sort of things, because most of the times you need to fiddle around quite a bit in order to get the best performance. And not to give away too much right away, I was amazed about the performance of this component, and that really made me do this video in the first place, because this is a beta and the performance is already amazing. One note for our regular viewers, I won't be doing a German version of this because it's beta, and this is basically a video that's just interesting for a certain amount of time. And even if you're not as used to the English language, you should be fine following along this way. So this is the demo that comes with the table view. And what we see here is the table view component with the default elements, car names. And we also have a detail view. That means if you click an item, the detail view is being displayed. And what this is it's a panel component that houses all the other components. And whenever you click one of the items in the table view, the detail view is being aligned over the whole area of the table view. So what happens if you click an item is that the control that you define is being aligned all over the area of the table view, and you have the chance using events to fill this detail view with information. Most of things are best described seeing in action, so this is exactly what we're going to do. This is the running application, and as you can see, we have a header area with an edit button and a filter button. And we have the lookup bar, which is set to alphabetic right now. The letters are being picked automatically, so you see D and E are not available. And we also have section headers. So this looks really like a tabular view as you're used to from the iPhone, iPad, Android devices. This is the real deal. And you also have the option to define icons and badge icons. And as I read the documentation, we also have accessory views and other symbols that you can define. The best thing is you can drag to scroll, and you can also use the mouse to scroll. So both touch and mouse usage are supported. If you want to filter, click on the filter and it's live. So while you type, the view is being updated. Really neat. And as soon as you click on it, the detail view, as I explained before, if I move this a little bit over, you see that this panel right here is being resized, it's realigned, it's aligned to the whole surface of the view, and the back button is being added so you can navigate right back. The filter stays in place. I say done, filter is gone. I can pick a different brand now. For example, I can pick BMW, and you see everything's being updated as well. Of course, we have all the other features that a table view needs to offer. For example, you can drag it like this, and you have these, like a pop-up menu basically in the touch world. You can say delete, and it's being deleted. And you can also say, I want to buy this. And we have an event like a show message. The footer is also available to you. You can put whatever you want in there. For example, if you say edit, you have the option to check multiple items, and the footer updates accordingly. Of course, you can put anything you want in the footer. As you can see in the header, we have a different font. So the complexity of this component is amazing. However, it is complex, but really easy to use. This is what I'm going to show you right now. Because if you look at the source code, at once we have the data in two arrays. One is for the brand, and the other one is for the description. And the table has full HTML support. That means you define a template. Well, let me realign this for the screen. So you define a template where you can say, I have a name and I have a description, and we set the font accordingly in HTML. We say bold for the brand name, and the other one, and the description is written in gray. And then all you have to do is you iterate over all the elements and add an item, and this item is a instance of FNC table item, and there you have the option to say HTML template items values name. Where does the name come from? Of course, out of the template. Name and description comes from here, and this is all you have to do in order to fill the table view with data. You assign the detail control using so-called default items. So everything, as soon as you create a new item, everything is the default item at first, and everything you do afterwards is your customization of that special item. But before that, everything is the default item. So if you want to do something that is supposed to happen for every item, you use default item. So the detail control at panel 1 is assigned to the default item, so you don't need to assign panel 1 ever again. Also take note, for performance reasons, not really that important with 18 items, is that you call table view begin update and table view end update. As with all other grids components as well, you need to sort your items in order to do grouping for a first letter or whatever, so that you don't have the same category used twice. I won't go into detail how to add the bitmaps. Basically, that's usage of the bitmap containers that come with FNC, and also using the accessories like the additional menu items. It's also really easy because it's the same for every item. So we use the so-called more options list, where you can add more options like buy and delete. You specify the color and the border color, and that's all you need to do. The interaction, of course, is done in an event which is called, let me see, item more option click. And there you get the index of the item that has been clicked, and then you can see once we have the show message, and the other time we have the remove item call to the item. That means the event also gives you the item that the more options has been activated for. One more detail about the detail view. Of course, there's also an event. It's called before item show detail control. Again, you get the item that has been selected, and then you also get a reference to the detail control if you want to customize that. And of course, you still have the chance to say, no, don't show it this time. So default value is true. You allow showing the detail view, and you have the option to customize your detail view. Remember that you don't need to do anything about the navigation like forward, back. That's all handled by the control. Let's test the performance of the table view. Component developers usually like it if I start using my baseball database. It's not my database, it's by Mr. Lehman. He updates this database every year with the current stats. It's a really passionate guy that does this every year with all the stats there are about baseball. And the table we are going to use is the master table, and it contains all the information about all the baseball players that ever lived on this planet, I guess. Of course, it's an American database, so it's going to focus on the American leagues, basically the Major League Baseball leagues. And you get all the information about every player. And the master table is, let's see how many records that has. So after executing the query, we see that we have 19,105 records. So that's plenty for our test. Going back to Delphi, let me show you the application I'll be using for the speed test. First of all, I dropped the table view component on the form. I said that it's supposed to align with the form, so nothing special here. And I also dragged the connection to the Layman database and built a query to this database as I just suggested. You can do that really easily with Delphi Tokyo using the Data Explorer. Mind that this is a MariaDB database, it's not even a MySQL database, so that also works nice. Also, the backend is nothing that calls for performance. The backend is a Synology NAS, so it's not really built to be a database server, but it can host MariaDB databases, so it's fine for stuff like this. Looking at the query, we have a selection of the player ID, the first name, the last name, the given name, the weight, the height, and the birth country from the master table, as I just showed you. And I'm going to order the names by the last name. And that's something I do on the database server and not in the table, so we can save the time to sort. What I also did for performance is that I configured the query a little bit more than usual. I basically said in the fetch options that the cursor kind is forward only. I don't want to go backwards, I just want to go forward once, and I don't need any metadata. I just need the details, no blobs. And I also said row set size is 1000, so all my results are being returned in packages of 1000, and the dataset is supposed to be unidirectional. I don't want to go backward, I just want to go forward once, read the information, and I'm done with it then, because I don't want the database to play any part in this evaluation. Still, if we have a look at the implementation of what I'm doing, first of all, I'm going to set the view into the begin update mode. I clear all the items that are there. Then I'm going to start a stopwatch. The stopwatch is from System Diagnostics. It's included in Delphi. It's a record. So as soon as you call start new, the stopwatch is going to start, and you have the ability to use elapsed milliseconds in order to read the time that elapsed since you called start new. Of course, I'm going to open the master table or the master query, and I'm going to disable controls. I don't want any influence of the database, and then I'm iterating. I don't need a detailed control yet. And then we're going to iterate over all the records in that query. And for every record, I'm going to create an item, and the item has a text property, and this text property, I'm going to use the last name and the first name. After the operation, I'm going to read the time again. I'm going to display the time. Remember, this would probably, in a real-life application, encapsulated in try finally, we have to call and update again. So again, we have 19,000 records, and we're doing nothing special, especially considering that we have the virtual tree view in mind that uses a special approach not to use object instances in order to stay fast. Let's see how fast this is by simply adding all these different object instances one after another. And we're quite surprised because the query takes 1.1 second to open and to deliver the data, and the iteration takes a mere 94 milliseconds. So I only need 94 milliseconds to populate the whole table view with all that information. And if you think now, oh yeah, that's nice, it's just going to show it, but it's going to screw up if we try to scroll. No, it's not. Or if we're going to use touch, no, it's not. So then it's at least going to screw up if we're going to search or filter. Let's filter for a name. Let's try Jeter. And there you go, Derek Jeter. I would say it didn't take that long to filter out their records. It's amazing. The performance really is amazing. Can't be said any other way. So let's do some eye candy. I want to have a lookup bar. It must be really complicated to do that. No, it's not either. So the lookup bar is being customized using the lookup bar property. And here you say it's set to auto lookup. We take all the default. It has a width of 50, which is fine. I can also make that 25, for example. And then we have to select the category. How do we categorize our items? And this is really easy. The category type is alphabetic. We don't have numbers, we just have letters from the last name. And here you see that we already have all the letters set, but everything is disabled right now because we don't have any data. But as soon as we loaded the data, everything here becomes populated. And if you click the J, as in Jeter, there you go. You see also the time in order to jump, and we can scroll now, and the sections and everything's still doing fine. Let me disable those again to none. Okay, because now we're going to do something different, because the next argument a lot of people are going to bring is, yeah, you just added a string or a number. Anybody can do that. I want some layout. I want some HTML. I want some kind of eye candy in there, because most of the columns or most of the items inside of a table view, yes, you're right, they have images or they have some kind of bold, italic, and they usually not only show one piece of information. So for that, the table view offers HTML templates. So we are going to assign a default HTML template, and we're going to use the HTML template like in the last demo, and we're going to use these placeholders like last for the last name. It's going to be bold, and the first for the first name, no formatting there. Then we're going to insert a line break and the height and the weight of the player. We're also going to do something more. We're going to add some italic text that's being calculated for the height that's in inches, calculated in centimeters, and the weight that is in American pounds, calculated in kilograms. So we're going to take out this line, and instead we're going to use this. And what we do now is we assign values to our placeholders. And the ones that are particularly interesting are those for centimeters and kilograms, because there, of course, we use calculations in order to assign these values. And I'm quite sure now you'll say, okay, this is going to need a longer time because we do layouting. It's going to be much longer than before. Remember, we were at 94 milliseconds before, and now we're at an overwhelming 219 milliseconds for 20,000 or 19,105 records. I would say that's pretty amazing considering that the database alone needs over a second in order to retrieve the data. So the filters are not going to be affected. If I look up Ortiz, for example, there you go, it's still fast. So I did one more thing I don't want to keep from you, but I won't give you the details how to do the charting because we're going to do that with the FNC chart at a later stage. So we assign a chart as the detail control. And in the event that I already showed you in the last demo, before item show detail control, I customize the chart that's being displayed. What I can do now is I can show stats of those baseball players. Really neat. So if I take, for example, Jose Abreu, there you see the stats for the home runs, how many 2-base hits, 3-base hits those players had in 2016, 2015, 2014, and everything is taken care of by the control. I can go back and forth, and everything is being handled by the control. Also, the animation, remember, this is a VCL app that I'm showing you right now, so there's animation in a VCL app. And of course, this could be a FireMonkey application, this could be an iPhone application, this could be an Android application, and I've heard there's even people running FNC with Linux right now with a graphical user interface. So you can see this is the power of FNC. And of course, with FireMonkey and with VCL, this could be a Win32 or Win64-bit application as well. So the amount of data that you can load is not restricted by memory because you can obviously make it a 64-bit application. So from what I've shown you right now, I think you'll share my amazement because let me rephrase this again. This is a beta version that has been handed out to registered customers. So if you are a registered customer, don't hesitate to contact us if it's not on your My Product page, because right now is the time to get in all your feedback. So if I triggered your interest in the component, look at your My Product page in case you're a registered customer with TMS, because now is the time to get your feedback in. Consider the flexibility that you have with this component compared to other grids or other listing components. Because what I just showed you, the performance with huge amounts of data, I'm quite sure that if it went higher, and I wanted it to be a useful example, because with baseball we have a useful example to look up stats for players. And remember how long I needed to write this application. I needed 10 minutes to get the database set up. I needed another 20 minutes in order to set up the HTML template, to set up the control as I wanted it to. And then I needed another 10 to 20 minutes to set up the charting. So basically in 1 hour, you have an application that due to FNC runs on Win32, Win64 with VCL or FireMonkey, or you can take it with FireMonkey to any mobile platform that Delphi supports. And of course, also Lazarus, because Lazarus is also supported by FNC. So thank you very much for your interest in this beta video, and I really hope we could trigger your interest, and see you next time.